Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. Thank you for joining us. It's September 25th. Hard to believe another month may be in the books here for us. So our agenda today, we'll start out with success stories. We know of one landing. We'll then let everybody put in their information for their 30-second introductions. We'll then hit our committee reports, and then we'll have our main event talking about Reference USA, or the new name that it is now. For those people who are on Zoom, we ask that if you will open your participant box up, and if you hover over the mic and camera, please make sure that your full first and last name is there so I can get your name added to the roster. I take a screenshot of all these names so that if I don't see you on the roster, you won't be counted. If you're on Zoom, if you have any questions for Mike and Kipp today, please just enter your questions into the chat box. And for those people on Facebook, just enter your comments into the comment box. I'm monitoring that feed, and I'll make sure those questions get answered. We ask that you use the speaker view, which is in the lower left-hand corner. We like it. We just think it's better so that way you can see who's talking. Where that red arrow is, there's a couple little white lines in between the picture and the PowerPoint. You can slide that back and forth if you're on a PC or Mac and make it whatever size, whatever ratio you'd like to see it. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your comments, name, and picture to appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. In 2008, I started CareerDFW.org to help people in the DFW area. And in 2012, I launched CareerUSA.org to help people outside the DFW area. Since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team. Well, we like to start the meeting off with good news. Do we have any, if anybody has landed, if we have any good news, if you will unmute your mic and tell us your good news. Anybody? Anybody? All right, well, I know, Mark, you got a story for us.
Yes, I do. You made a slide. There we go. Maricela Terry landed at CVS, and I want to tell a little bit of the story because I was on the panel that interviewed her. So when she came to the pit crew about September 9th, so it was only a couple of weeks ago, she had already talked to the HR. She'd had an HR screen for 30 minutes and an interview with the hiring manager for an hour. And she found this job on LinkedIn. Now, the really interesting thing about this job is that it was with CVS. She has a lot of experience in quality and leadership and tools, but she had absolutely no experience in pharmacy, healthcare, retail operations. So when she went through the interview, we mentioned that to her. That was probably one of their top 3 requirements. But the bottom line is they hired her anyway, which is what we talk about in the pit crew. If you're a good match, if you have a good positive attitude, and she had a lot of strength in the tools that they use, and they were looking for leadership as well, to lead a team, testing center of excellence. And so the third leg of that stool was less important to them. So, and it was a LinkedIn job, so it's something she had to apply for. So the lesson here is a couple of things. We recommend, I guess, that about a 50% match is good enough to give it a go. Of course, you want to follow that up with trying to make contacts in the company, or if you already have contacts, then go ahead and go with the 50%. But the other lesson is when the right job comes along, it can happen very quickly. You might spend months and months searching, and in two to 3 weeks, Marissa found this job and landed. So good for her, and encouragement for you guys.
Mark, thank you very much. Marcella, congratulations on your new job. Anybody else before I move on? All right, we'll move on. All right, so what we want you to do now is if you'll open up the chat box, and for those people on Facebook, you can just put your comments in, you can put this information in the comment box. What we'd like you to do is put in your name, comma, phone number, comma, email address, comma, position you're looking for, comma, and then a couple target companies. And what I will do, and then hit the return key. And what I'll do is I'll publish all these this afternoon, give everybody an opportunity to see if you can help somebody else. And that would be appreciated. For those people on Facebook, if you put the information in, I will go and delete that information after this presentation is over, so it won't stay up there forever. All right. So hopefully everybody's had an opportunity to do that. If you need to continue, please just continue on and we'll get that information put in. Well, it's time for a job and career fairs, training and workshops coming up. Good morning, Eldon.
Good morning, Jeff. Happy Friday, everybody. The information I'm about to share with you comes from the website careerdfw.org, the calendar tab, which is up there on the screen even as I speak. I cover career and job fairs and special workshops or events. I go through these things fairly quickly. If there's something that you hear that catches your ear, I urge you to go to the calendar tab and find that particular announcement. There's usually a link on there that you can register for the event or find out more about it. All right, this week's career and job fairs. The Big Tech's virtual job fair will be held Friday, September 25th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's a registration link for that on the calendar. Career Fair by National Career Fairs will be held Tuesday, September 29th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Crown Plaza Dallas Market Center. That's at 7050 North Stemmons Freeway in Dallas. And there is a link to find out more about that. AARP, whoops, excuse me, I think I missed one. There's an online job fair Monday, September 28th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And there's a registration link for that as well. And finally, for the career and job fairs this week, AARP Online Career Expo, Navigating the Job Market During Times of Uncertainty. That'll be Wednesday, September 30th from noon to 3, and there is a link for that. This week's special workshops or events, online only at this time, the Who You Know workshop. That'll be held Monday, September 28th from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. That event is hosted by Foster Williams, and if you don't know Foster, I would urge you to get to know Foster. There's a Zoom link for that meeting. Online Tuesday, LinkedIn at 1 p.m. online. That'll be Tuesday, September 29th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. There's a Zoom link for that and also available on Facebook. Online Frisco Career Transition Workshop will be held Tuesday, September 29th from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. This week's topic, using the internet for job search. The speaker is Gail Houston. There's a registration link for that. And Jeff, maybe you know more about this or not, but do you have to register one time for the whole sequence of events, or can you come in at any time?
I think you register one time and it's the same link all 6 weeks.
Okay, but they can, somebody who hasn't, for example, heard the previous 2 sessions can still get involved?
Yes, they can still get involved and they can see the prior 2 sessions it's on the Career USA YouTube channel. I've uploaded them. So if they've missed it, they can go back and watch them.
Okay, and the other question I have is they normally have a workbook that goes with this. Are they still publishing that?
No, they don't. There is no workbook being published this time.
Okay, thank you for that. Next is online interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. with Mark McDonald and Walt Glass. It'll be Wednesday, September 30th from 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. This week, I guess, is Asking Questions is the session 9, and there's a Zoom link for that, and I believe it's also available on Facebook. Online Resume Thursdays. That's hosted by Carol Brickell, a certified professional career coach. That's Thursday, October 1st from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. There is a Zoom link and a Facebook link for that. And finally, online meeting, distinctive interviewing. The speaker this week is Walt Glass, interview success coach. This is hosted by St. Andrew Career Care. It's Thursday, October 1st from 1 p.m. from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. And there's a Zoom link for that to participate. And that's it for this week.
Great. Thank you very, very much. All right. Just for anybody, if you're trying to find other networking groups or other events that are going on in the DFW area, I've added this banner on the top of the Career DFW page here. If you just click where the blue arrow is over on the right-hand side, it'll open up that calendar, and that calendar looks like, will look something like this. And all these light purple events are events that are going on that you can find Zoom links for or Facebook links, whatever they're doing. Just click on any one of those and you'll get all the details. If you know anybody who just lost their job, I see yesterday another 860,000 people filed for unemployment prior week. If you know anybody who's in that boat, please tell them to, click on here, click here for help. I just lost my job. What do I do now? I've got a got an article with several good links, checklist, things you should be doing first, second, third, fourth, just some real good basic information. People can check there and find out about that information. Practice interview team, Mark McDonald.
There we go. Click the button and it didn't go. So I've forgotten to mention one more thing about Maricela. So after she came and practiced the first week of September, she went on to have 5 more interviews, but in 2 weeks, and ultimately ended up with a job offer. So that's just another indication of how excited they were about her and how rapidly they pushed the process through to get her on board. So Maricela Terry, CVS. So the pit crew is virtual now. We use the Zoom technology just like we're using here. And it's the same format. We have 3 panelists. They're hiring managers, so they've been trained or had part of their professional responsibility to hire people, evaluate people, and hire people to work for them. So they have a vested interest in doing it well. And so they are the ones that give the interviews, and we focus on a very personalized and specialized, personalized and specific, I would say, job interview based on a job description that you provide. So you send in a job description and your resume, and we study up in advance. The panel will, ask you questions specific to your background and specific to that job. Sometimes we even give a little bit of career counseling, how, assess how good a fit you might be or the things that you might need to address that are gaps in your background, like we did with Maricela, but it didn't matter. I mean, that wasn't the fact that she had no background in healthcare or pharmacy was not a key requirement. But we'll do that kind of thing as well as part of the interview. And then you get feedback the last 10 or 15 minutes or so. You get feedback on things you might do more effectively, and of course the things you did well. But we want to focus on improving your ability to tell your story well. We want you to be confident going into any interview situation. So that's how the pit crew works. And if you'd like to get involved whenever you're ready, just send your information, that job description and the resume to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. I posted it up on the chat window as well. That's the best way to reach me. Some people reach out through LinkedIn, but if you do, I'm just going to send you a message and say, send me a note at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, because I like to keep all the pit crew records on that one email address. I also encourage you to link in with me. I got into the pit crew because I got laid off for the 3rd time in the telecommunications industry. That was back in 2012, and I've been doing it ever since. I have a pretty good sized network in the Dallas area, and if you link in with me, my first connections become your second degree connections, and those will help you in finding people to talk to for informational interviews or information about companies that you're interested in. So dallaspitcrew@gmail.com. So besides the pit crew work that I do, the organization, I also coach a little bit. I coach on one topic though. Why did you leave your last position? And it may not be your very last one. It may be some farther back. You know, some interviewers will ask you to tell them why you left, you know, every position for the last 5 positions or something like that. So if it's going to be a complicated answer, if it's going to cause you some angst, maybe you think you might have been in a layoff of one, kind of looked like an involuntary separation. Let's have a conversation about that, and we'll figure out how to tell that story. And not only the initial question, but follow-up questions that come afterwards, you know, because some interviewers will want to be very curious. And so you want to have a short, brief, to the point, and confident answer to those questions. Why did you leave your last position? Also, I'm looking for more panelists. So if you've been a hiring manager and, you know, you're in job transition, then you're qualified to be a panelist, and I'll tell you how to get involved. Just reach out to me at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com, and we can have a brief conversation. And I don't think I have anything. Oh, the webinar. So at the end of, when we were meeting face-to-face, at the end of every meeting, we'd spend 15 or 20 minutes talking about the interviews and learning about how to interview well. And so now with Walt and I and Jeff's help, we've turned that into a 13-session webinar, and we are on, I don't know what number we're on, but last week's topic was building rapport, and that was number 8. And next week, coming up on Wednesday, is asking questions. So every one of these topics is very important to interviewing well, and some of them involve how to job search well. As a bonus, asking questions is a key way to, of course, learn things about the company, how you can help and how you can contribute, but also to show your enthusiasm and build rapport. So we're going to do a deep dive on asking questions next week. That'd be Walt and I. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Mark. Walt.
Good morning, everyone. Walt Glass. And I, too, enjoy helping people with their interview skills. And so I like to say that I help build skills and confidence for those successful job interviews. And I do this very differently. I have a workshop. It's free, and it's done online. So I only have 2 people at a time. And the first question we want to really look at in interviewing is, what do we need to do to prepare? What do we need to do to get ready? What are the things we're trying to sell? What are the things we want to find out? What are the options, strategies, structures that we might use depending on the question, where in the process, who you're talking to, those kind of things. So it's very, very fundamental. It's a weird interview. It's more of a learning. I call it learning without squirming. It is a workshop. You can pause. You can think of an answer. You can start over. We can discuss. We can talk. It's something to say, okay, how can I really differentiate myself from those other candidates? And it's based on a model of selling who you are, what you do, and how you can help. And so how do we sell those things? And how do we find out if we're a good match? How do we really understand that this is good for me and also good for them? Because a successful interview is not one defined that you got the job. It's one that's defined that it's clearly not the job for you, or that it clearly is the job for you and for them. So look me up on LinkedIn. I'm going to put some information in the chat window right now, but you have to be registered to attend. So send me an email to walter.glass@yahoo.com. I also use that address for all of the workshop things, like Mark uses his Pit Crew email address. And I'll send you back some availability dates and get you scheduled. So I'll be glad to have you come down. It is informal. I do it mostly on Tuesdays from like 10 to 12. And you get a video of your interview, and you'll get a handout and some other documents as well, and a video that goes along with the handout that summarizes all the things that I talk about. And so I encourage a 3-time attendance to this. First time is learning the fundamentals and the differentiation. The second time is practicing the fundamentals and the differentiation. And the third time is more like the interview that you would have from your resume and your job description. Because we're covering categories of questions and things like that in the fundamentals. Then you can apply that. And of course, I encourage you also to participate with the Pit Crew for the mock interview. So every time you practice, you get better. So look me up on LinkedIn. All my about section contains all the information about that, how to reach me in information. So you can call me for questions, but I'd be glad to have you come down. It's enjoyable. We can have fun. We don't have to have pain to learn. You may ask you what you please, but I'll bet everyone agrees. Through practice, we gain expertise, then our interviews will be a breeze.
Well, thank you very, very much. All right, it's time for the career tip of the week. Good morning, Sue Ellen.
Good morning, everyone. Today's tip of the week is by Abhijat Tamani. And these are 4 LinkedIn profile updates that should help you get more responses. If you're on the hunt for a new job, there are a few tools more powerful than your LinkedIn profile. It's a one-stop shop for recruiters and hiring managers to learn more about your professional story. So make sure your profile represents not only your experience and strengths, but also your goals and what you want to accomplish. Here are a few new ways to update your profile. First, signal to your community that you're looking. With the Open to Work feature on your LinkedIn profile, you can quietly signal to recruiters that you're open to new opportunities, and you can now engage your entire professional community in your search. To let the broader LinkedIn community know you are looking, just add a hashtag Open to Work photo frame on your profile photo. By doing so, when your profile comes up in a search or shows up in the feed because you commented on or liked a post, professionals beyond your LinkedIn connections will see your hashtag Open to Work photo frame and can connect you to job openings they're aware of or facilitate an introduction to a hiring manager. We know that candidates on LinkedIn are nearly 4 times more likely to land a job at a company where they have connections. So imagine the possibilities of reaching LinkedIn's community of 700 million professionals. Number 2, highlight your best work. The more complete your profile, the better the odds that recruiters will find you. So it's important to include examples of your past experience and accomplishments. The new featured section lets you highlight the work you're most proud of by pinning to your profile links to media presentations, articles you've written, or presentations from a previous job or speaking engagement. You can also showcase your posts or publish articles on LinkedIn, which can help you stand out to new opportunities. Number 3, spotlight your skills. Recruiters view skills as critical when looking at job candidates. In fact, we found that members with 5 or more skills listed on their LinkedIn profile are discovered up to 27 times more in searches by recruiters. That's why it's important to list your skills, both hard and soft, on your profile. If you want to turn it up a notch, you can now validate your hard skills with LinkedIn's 95 skill assessments that you can test against. Once you complete an assessment, a badge gets added to your profile which highlights your proficiency. You can find out more about these assessments at blog.linkedin.com/2019/September/17. And if you don't have all of the required skills for the job you want, online learning is a great way to help build and increase your chances of getting hired. Number 4, help others pronounce your name. We all know that pronouncing someone's name correctly is important in making a good first impression. But sometimes we see someone's name in writing and aren't sure how to correctly say it. With LinkedIn's new name pronunciation tool, you can add a recording of your name and attach it to your LinkedIn profile so others can learn how to pronounce it correctly. If you're a job seeker with an interview on the horizon, Check to see if anyone interviewing you has this feature turned on. Pronouncing their name correctly will help you kick the meeting off on the right foot. Making these updates to your LinkedIn profile is a great way to kickstart your job search and show who you are, what you want, and why you'd make a great candidate to potential employers. But don't wait until you're looking for a new job to update your profile. A strong LinkedIn profile highlighting your latest accomplishments and skills could help you discover other exciting opportunities you may not have thought of and set you up for long-term career success. So good luck.
Sue Ellen, thank you very much. And I'll take that number 4 comment, help others pronounce your name. Do that on your resume also, that if you have a hard to pronounce first or last name, put in parentheses and and phonetically spell out your name to make it easy, because some recruiters will go, well, I can't pronounce that name. They'll just move on to the next person. So make it easy for them. Okay, our video clip of the week.
Werbalisty. Moja języczka mreża.
All right, so interesting little video clip. All right, so coming up here in just a few minutes, we're going to hear from Mike and Kipp, and they're going to talk about Reference USA, how to find target companies. Next Friday, we're going to have a short presentation on canva.com. I talk about canva.com as a great way to produce a banner for your LinkedIn profile, and you can use it for other things also. So we're going to have about a 10 or 15 minute presentation on how to use Canva. I think you'll find it very interesting. And then we'll spend the rest of the time doing open forum, answering whatever questions you have next Friday. On October 9th, identifying and leveraging competencies to secure an offer. And then on the 16th, fireproofing your future, how to protect yourself against getting burned in your job search by taking the wrong job. So we've got some interesting topics coming up in October. So hopefully you'll join us each Friday. Oops, I guess I didn't pop those up there. There you go. So that's what we'll be seeing. All right, so it's time now for the main event. Many of you know Mike and Kipp. They've been part of the North Dallas Career Focus Group. They've been part of the South Lake Focus Group. About a couple years ago, they were asked to put together a presentation on how to use Reference USA. It was a great tool. And so gentlemen, thank you for being with us, and take it away.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm setting up the screen so that we can have our
While he's doing that, good morning, everybody.
Can you see the slides okay, Jeff?
Yep, you're good to go.
Excellent. All right. Well, we're Kipp and I are working together as in identifying and researching target companies, and going to share with you some of the best practices of the tool that was formerly called Reference USA, and we'll share some of the best practices that he and I found as we went we started using the tool. Just to give you a little bit of the background, my name is Mike Ray. I'm a Vice President, Director of Marketing and Product Management. During my career, I worked at Train, Lennox Commercial, and a small HVAC company in Oklahoma City. While at Train, I directed a product management and support team which introduced 2 new product platforms and 1 major product platform redesign, which doubled product revenue to well over $1.7 billion in less than 5 years. I team up with Kipp Lifson to share best practices of Reference USA in identifying and researching potential target companies. I am Mike Ray.
Good morning, all. I am Kipp Lifson. I have the privilege to work with Mike Ray in doing this. I enjoy it very much, I'll let you know. I am a senior privacy consultant. I have worked in the customer information systems solutions my entire career, and privacy is an extension of customer information systems that meets all the new privacy legislation that's being passed. And I have done everything from set the corporate customer intimacy vision and strategies for our large financial institutions to setting up my own telemarketing systems and actually crawling through the attic wiring those. So I've done quite a variety of things. And again, my name is Kipp Lifson, and I look forward to presenting our target company's presentation today. Now, I will tell you is that what we did find out is as we prepared for this, there was an aha moment going up. They changed to Reference Solutions and the company name from Info USA to Data Axle. And so now we have gone through the presentation and kind of adjusted that accordingly. So it's now Reference Solutions. The system is all basically the same. So there's not much differences. If we find some differences, we'll let you know as we go forward. And so again, we changed Data Axle to the top of the presentation.
One of the things we will point out is that that Kipp and I both continue to look for our next career success. As it is, we're not employees of Reference USA, nor are we employees of Data Axle Reference Solutions, which we'll refer to as Reference Solutions as we go along. But we're not employees of that. We just we're a couple guys that had the opportunity to learn about this tool and share that with other people, share best practices with other people that are job seekers as well. Some people may be wondering at this point, we have posted, there is a Reference USA presentation posted on Career DFW in the resources section. It's located in chapter 5.3, which is called databases, or it's also located on Facebook, Career DFW under videos, and April 3rd. And so this is a resource where you can refer back to and take a look at our previous presentations. Now we'll be sharing with Jeff our this presentation, and he also said that he's going to provide this presentation out on YouTube as well. So you'll be getting the latest, greatest version with the proper name of Data Axle Reference Solutions on it as well.
Okay, today's agenda is we're going to go over the importance of target companies and the tool that we've identified, that we use to identify target companies. And more importantly, what are our best practices? What have we found as we work through and used it ourselves? Some actual examples. And then once you have that information, what can you do? The research for informational job interviews, and then of course a live demo.
There are a few people in the audience that have a similar personality to mine, that get started into something and go, hey, does it do this? Does it do that? I want to know, does it do this? And I can't wait. Nope, I got a question. If you would, we cover most of the functionality using this tool in our workshop. If something we state is unclear and you'd like to make sure that you understand that, please ask. Otherwise, if you have questions, does it do this? Does it do that? Put it in the chat section or hold your question till the very end. We cover, I'll say 99 and 9/10% of the questions that will come up, we cover in our presentation.
And we do it several times. We reiterate the same, so we can anchor some of those best practices. So now what is a target company? And so a target company is a list of companies that you want to go work for, that you'd love to work for. They tend to offer jobs that fit your interest, organizations that have the right company culture that you desire, and an organization with a mission you believe in. And these really are target companies. Target companies are companies you would love to have an opportunity to work for. And with saying that, I have a few target companies. Now that I'm embarking as a privacy engineer or privacy consultant, as in the label du jour, OneTrust, Big ID, and Nimity are some of the new companies that are really focused on privacy. And the other one really is Wells Fargo, because Wells Fargo will be embarking on some large privacy initiatives around the first of the year, we hope. But those are my target companies. So I know OneTrust really well, Big ID and Nimity, and have contacts in Wells Fargo.
And my target companies are Ream Air Conditioning, Kubota Tractor, and Campat Machine Tool. They're a small machine tool company over in Plano. One of the things that Kipp and I encountered as we went around to the various networking groups, and we still are engaged with some of these networking groups, but online, we notice a lot of times that if the groups do a 10-second introduction and allow the people to introduce themselves, that they provide their name and then their title, what they do, and then they provide their brand. What value do they bring to the table, and follow up at the end with their name. And it was frustrating for us, as it is, I'm sure, for some of you, that as you hear that I am Mike Ray, I'm a VP product manager, a director of product management, and my brand, and then I am Mike Ray, and then you go, okay, so how can I help you, Mike? It's frustrating because people want to help one another. And if you don't supply or provide them with target companies, it makes it very difficult for other people to help you. So it's frustrating. And so one of the things we want to know is, what are your target companies? And as I go into the chat, Sonia, for example, has Toyota, Bell, and Elbitz as her target companies. Laura Hyatt says TWU, Globe Life, SMU. And let's see. Lee Rutherford has Tyler Technologies, Toyota, Interstate Batteries, and Samsung, just to name a few. So what Jeff has done in the chat section is ask for you to provide some of the target companies so that other people can look at the target companies and say, hey, you know what, Lee, I've got a connection at Samsung, and I can help you with that contact. The reality is I don't, but if I did, I could contact you and say, hey, I've got a contact there. Perhaps we could connect and get you introduced to that contact, and that would help you. And so that's one of the key things that we need to identify so we can help one another. We need to identify what those target companies are. Now, we used to give out chocolate, and so we would give out chocolate for answering those questions. Unfortunately, we're online, so I'll eat all the. Jeff said he'll eat the chocolate too. Enjoy.
Okay, so as we look at all those potential companies, you've got to be able to narrow those down and come up with a target company list. And so how many target companies should we have? That's really a question. 1, 2 or 3, 4 or 5, and then how do I have a list? Now I look at the first set of target companies as the 1, 3, 4, or 5 are the ones you're willing to do this deep dive in, to go look at the company, who works there, what their values are, start collecting information, increasing your chances of success by doing basically your due diligence or your homework. Now me, I'm about a 3 at a time person, because thank God I'm not chewing gum at the same time, because that would be too much. But some people can handle more. But I always collect a big list of potential target companies that if one falls off my 3 because they're not hiring, maybe it's not as a good a fit as I thought, I can put those on the back burner and go quickly pull out another potential target companies. And so the task really is, how do I get there? How do I find these target companies? And that's what we're going to talk about today.
Now, Kipp and I are members of, we're members of the same accountability group. And one of the things that came up when we first joined the accountability group was, okay, so what are your target companies? And a typical response is, well, I've got this company that I've targeted, and the reason why I've targeted it is because they had a job posting. It looked like me, and I applied for the job. So that's my new target company, and that's being reactive to the process. And being reactive, is it really helpful to be reactive by just waiting till they have already posted a job and 300 or 400 people already know about it, or maybe a few thousand people may know about it? And so why be reactive? It would be better to be proactive. But one of the things that we did in our accountability group was we go around the group and we would ask, okay, so what are your target companies? And the first week we had 1 or 2, and it was based on the jobs that were posted. And they said, you really need to get more target companies. The second week, hey, what are your target companies? And he and I, we'd look at each other and we go, okay, we again, 1 or 2 companies, not really big, but we needed more. And they said, well, hey, if you go to the library, there's a tool called Reference USA that will help you identify some target companies, and you can bring more target companies to the table, which will help us to allow you to network into those companies. And we did the traditional thing. Okay, yeah, right. It's on top of my list. And then we blew it off until the next week. And the next week, we went back and got asked the same question. And finally it got to the point where I looked over at Kipp and I go, okay, what are you doing right after this? And he goes, nothing. So I said, okay, let's go to the library. We'll get our library card and we'll ask the librarian to show us how to get into Reference USA. And we did that. And we proceeded to get a list of target companies. And so knowing how to find target companies, that Reference USA tool, people were saying, go out and take advantage of it and use it. And by the way, it's now Reference Solutions as you look for it. When you go to the librarian, you're going to ask for Data Axle Reference Solutions. But we now can be more proactive versus reactive. And that allows us then to build that list that Kipp was showing of 50 to 100 companies. And you can identify based on your criteria, which ones you really want to research first, which ones look like the best candidates as you start out. And you can make those decisions and really hone in on the three to 5 companies that you want on that list that you're doing research on.
So one of the things is that when you're getting ready to find target companies, it's time for some decisions. And so one of those is, do you want to stay in the same industry? Do you want to work in a different industry? Do you want to work for a small, medium, or large company? I know me personally, I feel like that I would fit better in a small to medium company rather than a large company. So I do focus on medium-sized companies, but that's up to you. And the other one really is do you want to stay in the DFW or do you want to relocate? So some of those are the basic decisions to start your search and identifying target companies.
There are quite a few different databases that are out there and available. The major ones that we're aware of is now Data Axle Reference Solutions, and that's available free through most Texas libraries. There is a similar database. It's called A to Z that your local library may have. They may have both Reference Solutions and A to Z, or they may only have A to Z. A to Z is set up very similar to what Reference Solutions is. It was a startup company from a former CEO of Reference Solutions. So your local library may have A to Z and not Reference Solutions, or they may have both. There's also DMB and DMB Hoovers. Now DMB, we use, DMB stands for Dun & Bradstreet. We use Dun & Bradstreet to assist us in identifying and qualifying financing for some companies. And so your finance people are probably fairly familiar with Dun & Bradstreet and probably Hoovers as well. Hoovers was bought by Dun & Bradstreet about 3 years ago. And so it's a little more complex, and it's not free through the library. Now we're going to focus today on Reference Solutions because it's available free through the library. And recognize that all of these may be available, but they're very expensive databases. And so to answer one of the questions that we got, Conroy asked the question, is it only accessible from the library? Well, we're only interested in it because it's free through the library. If you work for a company, your company can purchase Reference Solutions, and it's an expensive tool. But it's free through the library, so you want to take advantage of the low-cost capability there. Now, how do you get into Reference Solutions? The first thing is it's free at most of the libraries and in the Texas area. If you show you can provide your Texas driver's license or your voter's registration card. Or a utility bill showing that you're a resident of Texas, and your local library will allow you access. Now, some libraries don't have it, and those that don't you can go to other libraries, and some of them allow you to utilize their capability. Example, Plano is reciprocating library with McKinney, with Frisco, and a couple others as well. And so if you have your McKinney library card, Plano will allow you to gain access to their materials. If now Plano wants to charge you $50 to gain access to their library card, or if somebody wants to charge you for your library card, would encourage you to go to the North Richland Hills Library and get your library card. You can get it for free online. All you have to do is Google North Richland Hills Library, and online you'll be able to see how to sign up for a library card, and you provide them with the information. Within a day or two, you'll have access to your library card, and also access to Data Axle Reference Solutions. the first time that you go through, would encourage you to ask the online librarian to assist you. They'll show you where it's located in their files and how to get to it, and then how to utilize the tool. And the key thing is the online librarian, you can call them up and talk to them and ask some questions as you go along. So that should, it should make it fairly easy for you. Now let's go over some examples of some case studies, some things that we ran into. When you start up Reference Solutions, the first thing that you'll see is that you'll get this screen. And when you open this screen, on the right-hand side, there's a few things we want to point out. There are about 16 million verified companies that are listed, as well as 43 million unverified companies. There's a limited number of resources that are available through Data Axle Reference Solutions in their call center. They make over 24 million calls a year, so they can't verify all the companies in the United States, but they have verified about 16 million of them. Today, there's a lot of different databases, but the main database that we're going to look at is the U.S. Businesses one here. One of the things that when you open up Reference Solutions, you'll notice that there is a quick search and an advanced search. For those of you that already have a company that they want to do some research on, all you have to do is type in that company's name right here and hit enter, and that will provide you with companies that have the number of companies that have that name. If you need to do additional filtering, you can do so by clicking on this. The additional filters really is the same as doing an advanced search at that point. Now, one of the things that Kipp and I did, we had one of the people in our group that in our accountability group that used to work at IBM, and he said, "Can you help me with going through this process so I can learn a little bit more?" The first steps that we took was, okay, so where did you? He said, "I want to work in the same industry, but I used to work for IBM." So we plugged in IBM in the quick search. And hit view results. Okay, typed in IBM, view results, and up popped 283 results. And the thing that we found out was that we're looking at all these different locations in Alabama, Arkansas, Arizona, California, etc. So this is all the IBMs in the United States. And the guy says, "Well, I used to work in Dallas on Stemmons Freeway. I want to find that location and do similar things to what they used to do." So we said, "Okay, that's not a problem. Let's narrow our search down." So we went in and we revised our search here, and we changed and we added a location filter. We went in and said, "Let's just get the IBMs in the state of Texas." And that resulted in 24 different companies that had the name IBM in them. And if you go down about halfway, you'll see the IBM with Kathy Gross or Kathy Gross, depending upon how you pronounce it, on Stemmons Freeway in Dallas. This is the location where he used to work. And before I move on and we start digging into the details on that particular IBM, there is one other thing. Here is it looks like a kind of a corporate chart where the president and then the vice presidents and then all the other people, the regional people are right there. Well, this insignia is similar to that. What the large thing here is corporate headquarters. And then the next one down could be either a subsidiary of that corporation, or it could be like a regional office. And then the next ones down from that are either like district offices or branch offices. And so the indicator with the up arrow indicates that this is either a branch or regional office, and that there's a headquarters above, that there are larger offices above, and that's why they have the up arrow. If they have a down arrow, that's an indicator that this is a corporate office. This is the big one right here. And that there are other subsidiaries, or there are other regional offices throughout the United States, or in other locations. So, so if you see an up arrow, it means they're a branch. If you see a down arrow, that's the corporate headquarters. If you see nothing, if there's no arrow, that's an indicator that there's only one office location, period, for that company. So let's open up the IBM on Stemmons Freeway and take a look at the information you're going to see when you open up the information on Reference USA. I'm sorry, Reference Solutions. First off, the quick links, and we'll make this a little larger over here on the right-hand side so that you can see it a little better. Each of these, like location, there's a blue line that's related to that. Job listings, there's a blue line here, a header line that's available. So each one of these has a blue header line associated with it. These two we found to be very useful in our initial search. One of the things we'll point out is if you take a look, you'll see job listings, jobs by Indeed. So if there's anybody in the audience that is a technical support representative that would like to work in Red Oak, Texas, IBM is looking for an employee. That job was posted 11 days ago. If there's anybody that was a mainframe system administrator apprentice, that job was posted, it says two hours ago. The reality is it was posted a couple of days ago. But anyhow, there is a posting for new jobs that are listed here. We're also interested, as we started playing with this tool, we found the competitors report was very useful to take a look at, as well as the industry profile. And initially, as we started our search, these were the things that we saw as best practices and things we wanted to pay attention to. When we opened the competitors report, one of the things we saw was this list of competitors right here. In the chat box, can anybody tell me what this competitor list might be? In the chat box. Other companies to look, Karen, good. Other companies to look for a job, potential target companies. That's correct. So as it is, this is a list of potential target companies. Now, the bad news is when you go, you really want to down click and right click and copy and paste all of this information. You want to drag and drop all this information into an Excel spreadsheet. The bad thing is you can't do that. And if we were employees of Reference USA or Reference Solutions now, if we were employees, we'd be telling them, hey, you really need to allow us to right click and cut and paste this into an Excel spreadsheet. But you can't. So the things you can do, you can click on each one of these individual companies, and these are live links that will take you to the Reference Solutions information on each of these individual companies. Or you can use your snippet or your camera or your page capture and capture this list, and then individually type in each of these companies to learn more about them. But these are potential target companies. So Roxanne and Karen and Lee, good opportunity to if you will, go ahead and pick up a piece of chocolate. You've earned it. Good job. Thank you. Okay, so we've covered the competitors. Those are our potential target companies. And now let's take a look at the industry profile, because the person we used to work that was in our accountability group said, you know, I want to do the same thing as IBM was doing. So as we look at the industry profile for IBM, we see that the SIC code for IBM, for that office in IBM, was 737101, and the NAICS code was this 8-digit 541-51104. And Kipp, can you tell us what that means?
I can. Mike, thank you. So industry classifications, SIC code and NAICS code, are very important filters that we use to filter out all the names to come down to your target companies. Now, the SIC code is the standard industry classification. Many of you might have already used that, especially if you're in marketing. Excuse me. It was established in 1930, and that's what I'm familiar with. Now, NAICS, the North American Industry Classification System, was established in 1997 to replace the no longer sufficient SIC system, which still seems to be in place, but it was really created when NAFTA was initiated to bring in US, Canada, and Mexico into play. They both are similar. I will say that Reference Solutions is very SIC code centric, and I'll show you why in a little bit, but it is worth, and we're going to go over it and over it, but it's worth understanding these codes, these industry classification codes, for you to understand how to best filter as you're moving forward, identifying target companies.
So when we go back to the IBM office, again, we look at the SIC code, the NAICS code, and we want to capture those. And what Kipp would do is he'd go on his computer and type it in his notes, the notes section of his computer. Me, I'm a little more old school, so I'll use a standard Post-it note or on a piece of a pad of paper, and I'll write my 737101 for the SIC and 541-51104 and capture that, because I'm interested in learning about other companies that have the same SIC or same NAICS codes. So to give you an example or to show you how to identify other companies that have that same NAICS code as IBM does, I go in and I click on the keyword. I check that box off, and a blue line comes up that says keyword SIC NAICS, and we're going to focus on this business type. We want to search only the NAICS primary in this example. We're going to focus on just the things, just that particular industry that was primary for IBM at that time. Again, we plug in the 541-51104, and up pops computer services, as well as, and when we click on that, it will show that it's selected down here. At that point, we got to remember that, oh yeah, by the way, I don't want throughout the United States. I want only in I don't want to have to move. I want to focus on the same basic area I used to live in, so I don't have a really long drive to get to my next job. So again, focused on the Dallas, Texas area, same area that the IBM on Stemmons Freeway was. So we click on the city, state, and Dallas pops up. I click on that and it brings up Dallas, Texas here, okay? And so we want to focus on that, and I'm going to view my results now. When I do that, up pops 21 results with a list of target companies. And I can save that information, and Kipp will show you that in a little bit. So let's take a look at this list of 21 companies. And as we look at it, initially, there's Abacus Group, and another one is Amdocs Downtown Dallas. Excuse me, when I look at the Abacus Group, I notice that there's not a phone number available. And that makes it a little difficult to get in touch with anybody. So it makes me do more work. So just for our example today, I'm going to go ahead and look at, I'm going to cross through Abacus and look at Amdocs. So I double click on Amdocs and pull up the screen. When I do that, Amdocs pops up. Here it is. Here's the address, which is close to where that person used to work. And oh, there's no jobs listed. Does that mean they're not hiring? No, it doesn't, right? They could be using LinkedIn. My old company, they didn't use the old the job boards like Monster and Indeed, etc. Instead, they used LinkedIn for their job postings. So just because there's nothing listed here doesn't mean they're not hiring. It just means that Indeed is not reaching into that database to find those job listings. So they could very well be hiring. So don't get discouraged just because you don't see a job posted on Indeed. Then the other thing is we're interested in the primary thing that particular company, that Amdocs, does. And so their SIC code is the same as what IBM was, 737101. And their NAICS was 541-511-04. So they have exactly the same as what IBM did in Stemmons Freeway. So they're doing the same type of job.
Now, and as Mike was showing you, there's ways to do some filtering, but there also are some best practices as we look at trying to identify target companies. And let's see if I can get whatever I didn't want to do.
There you go.
Some best practices.
Try again, Kipp.
There we go. So one of the best practices in starting to identify target companies, look at the hot industries. That if you're looking at Dallas and Fort Worth has some different hot industries in them. Of course, Dallas is technology, financial services, defense. Fort Worth is oil and gas manufacturing, aviation, and aerospace. Not necessarily exclusive, but those are kind of what they're known for. That's one way to look at it geographically. Or best places to work. Go look at those publications that are publishing top 100 places to work. I know Dallas Business Journal puts out one of those. You can find those. And that's a good way to start kind of generally looking at best places to work and identifying target companies. So, but the next thing is that as Mike was starting to look at, and we'll go into more detail, filtering these 15 plus million names of potential companies, how do you get those down into a reasonable amount of companies to look at? And that's through filtering. Now, through we've worked with it. As you saw, Mike, he used the company name to start doing his research. And we've highlighted that in red. That's one of the ways to do your filtering. We started to look at the business type, which is put in the keyword or the industry code to identify them. And then there's major industry group, which is where we look at identifying by SIC code and building your own SIC code. And we'll go over that in a little bit. Geography, of course, where you want to work. But here's another one. Whoops, little fat finger there. Business size. So here there are filters by the number of employees. There are filters by the sales volume. So you could filter companies by these two parameters. So you're starting to narrow it down by business size and ownership. Now, public companies are required to publish their information, and private companies don't necessarily have to do that. They may want to keep it close to the vest. You are going to get more information out of a public company than you are a private company, most likely. So you have to understand the dynamics of what a private company is publishing when they call them up to verify them, what information they're going to share. So keep that in mind. But that is the key to filtering all these names down to a reasonable amount of target companies to work with. Excuse me. Now, one of the things I did was, how am I gonna do this? So I'm in IT. I know one of the hot industries is system integration. How am I going to do my filtering? So I'm going to go through an example of building an SIC code to be able to do that filtering. Now, when we start with the 15 plus million names. These are, and we're going to do some searches on the verified businesses. And we're going to do an advanced search. We're going to go to the advanced search. And the first thing I usually do is I do geography to start to narrow that down. So when you click geography, up is going to pop up a parameter box. If I click metro area, a metro area parameter box is going to pop up. And what we're going to do is we're going to select Texas, and we're going to select Dallas-Fort Worth, the metro area. And if we update the count, sorry, I'm having a little technical difficulty. It brings that, if you update the count, it comes down to about a little over 300,000 companies. So we went from this 15 million to 300,000 or so companies. That's starting to bring it down to a reasonable amount. Now let's look at major industry group as a filter. This is where we're going to build an SIC code. And if we click on major industry group, that parameter box of SIC codes are going to pop up. And I'd like to take a moment to talk about these. It is worth your while to take a look at these codes and get familiar with them. What I did was pick, here they are. They go from agriculture to non-classified establishment, and that's setting up the first two digits of the SIC code. So I'm going to take the first one, agriculture, forestry, and fishing. Of course, I don't always run, every once in a while we run across somebody in that industry. And that breaks down even further to crops all the way to hunting and trapping. And so so you can see the progression of each one of these SIC codes. Just wanted to take a moment. It's going to take some time to look at them. Some of them have up to 20 different breakdowns, and underneath that, maybe another 20. So it may be worth taking a look. This is just a small example. But if we go down and we look at business type, major industry group, I'm going to select services. Now, the reason I picked services is because I happen to know the SIC codes. I've looked at them. I've looked at them by company and what comes up. So I know it's going to be under services, this integration. And if I click that, oh, and I click that. There's one other thing I want to talk about is search primary SIC codes only. So if I'm looking generally for companies that will do what I'm looking for, I do not check that box. Otherwise, it's only going to give you the primaries. And they have a lot of secondaries. So when you're starting out, don't click primary. And if you update count, now I'm down to about 150,000 records. So I've already started to narrow that down to a reasonable amount. Now, what we're going to, and I'm going to show you how we're building this SIC code. So when we pick 73 and check that, we got 73. And then if we updated count, we got 20,000 records. If you expand business services out, and there's many of those, I picked the one called Computer Integrated System Design, and if you check that, you get 616 records. Now our SIC code is being built 7373, and if I expand out Computer Integrated System Design, and I pick 98, and I update count, I get 46 records. Now I have an SIC code filter called 73, 73, 98. So that way I have built the SIC code that I want to take a look at. Now I've selected individual ones. On this list, you may click 4 or 5 of those that might meet your need and play with it. You could always unclick or re-click or decide what you want to look at as you're viewing. It's part of the art of filtering. So now I've got down to 46. And if I view those results, I come up with the 46 records. So that's a reasonable amount for that one SIC code that I looked at to take a look at what those companies might turn into target companies. And here's this list. Now, when you look at this list, there are some features that you can take a look at. Heat map, summary, charts, download. You can download, you can print, you could save the search. Now, I created an account. You have to create a little account to save searches. That way you don't have to put it in again, and it turned to be a pretty big advantage. I hadn't done that for a while, but I like it now. And the one thing I wanted to talk about, you can play with these, but the download, you can download all 46. Now, when you do these activities, it's to the results of your search. I do want to recommend some things about download. Of course, you can select the file format you want, comma, Excel, current Excel, or tab delimited, either one of those that you're comfortable with, most likely Excel if you've got it, that's fine. But the next thing I want to recommend is always start with a summary, because it gives you about 20 fields to take a look at, the primary fields. And if you use detail, you will get 100 or so columns for every record, and it's very cumbersome to work with. I happen to be advanced Excel, so I can slice and dice and get rid of all the stuff pretty quickly. But I always recommend doing the summary to start. Now, you can, and once you know all those fields, you can go in and select, do a custom select, starting with the summary, and add some fields to that you may want to see. But always start with the summary. That's our recommendation. Now, I do want to talk about the filtering options one more time. You'll notice that we go over things several times because we're trying to anchor this filtering and how it works, because it is really one of the most powerful things of doing the finding target companies. Of course, there is company name. You could do that. When you put in company name, you can look at their competitors. You can look at their SIC codes. You can get a lot of information by looking at one specific company as you're getting ready to expand your searches. And so it's a great tool. The next one is, as we looked at business type, you could put in keywords. And when we go live, we'll put in a keyword to show you how that works. Or you can build, or you can put in a specific SIC code or NAICS code. I always stumble on that. Or you can do it by major industry group, which is essentially building your SIC code. And that's why I say that this solution is SIC code centric, because you can't build an NAICS code yet. Then geography. Now you have to remember, this really is started out as a marketing database. So there are some geography things that may not be applicable to job search. Neighborhood, street address, those kind of things are more marketing. We've always found city, state, or metro area to be the most effective. If you want to do radius and those kind of get fancy, you can do that. But those are the two major ones. And since we're in a metro area is good, unless you want to be specific to the city that you want to take a look at. Then, of course, there's business size, number of employees, sales volume. It's a great tool for finding the difference between small, medium, and large companies. You do have to do a little work, because if the number of employees comes up between 1 and 4, that's at least a good percentage of them. That may be an ATM location. So depending on your search, kind of take a look and play with it to see if you're getting what you want. Also on sales volume, if it's a branch, it may have 0 in the dollars for sales volume, because everything's reported upstream at the corporate level. So there is a little bit of work to kind of take a look at what you've got. The other one is ownership. And so do you want to look at just private, or do you want to look at public companies? Do you want to look at headquarters or branches? And when I got a big aha during this presentation a couple of years ago, because I'm getting into privacy. Privacy legislation was first introduced for the EU. And I could find all the companies that had foreign parents, which had to comply with those privacy laws out of the EU. So that's one. And those are the tools, filtering options. So it's both science and art. Play with it. It won't hurt. It's not that complex. Get used to it. And you will be very successful at finding target companies and playing with those. So now we've taken a look at taking all these 15 million names and target companies and bringing them down into target companies. There's some more things that this can do for you once you've identified those. And Mike's going to tell us a little bit about that.
So we've identified target companies. Now we want to learn a little bit more about how this information can assist us. Obviously, we want to network into the company. And it may be that we get a request to come interview or to do a virtual interview. So we want to do some research about that company or those companies and learn more. And so this tool can assist you with people's names as well as the quantity of people that are working within the company. Some of the things that you may be interested in is how much money they're spending for research and development, their marketing spend. A key tool that will assist you for those public companies, a lot of them post their 10K and maybe their annual report out on the website. And when they do that, if you look at their 10K and as you're doing research about the company, you'll find what their strategy is. Because in the 10K, there is a section that relates to what the plan is or what their goals are for the next year, and perhaps even out more than just 1 year. And so you can develop questions to ask on your interview as well as questions to ask on an informational interview from that 10K report. In addition, company news, people are always putting out news articles or press releases that say, hey, we just introduced this new product. It's the coolest thing since sliced bread. And they're excited about it. And so you can always, hey, I saw that you introduced this product. How's that working for you? So you've done some research and people are now seeing that you cared enough to do some research about that particular product and about that company. In addition, you can also find out the competition that's in their area. So not only are you interested in learning more about that company, but there may be other companies in the area that you could conceivably look to apply with as well. So lots of opportunities to do some research with the companies. I am going to step back just a second and step one slide back. Kipp, I got a question for you. It came from the audience. The question was, with so much remote now, should we still use geography as an initial filter? What do you think?
Well, that's a very good question. I think both. I think that mostly this is a COVID kind of question. I think that it's a mixed blessing. I would look locally because you're going to weave yourself into the office visits safely in the future. The flip side of that is you're now competing with a huge, larger market because it's remote. They're not limited. So I would find, that's a big balance. I would do both.
And if it was me, as I'm looking at it, the thing I would look at is to focus first. There's a lot of opportunity in the Dallas area.
Yeah.
And so me personally, I would look at what are the opportunities here. And then if there are specific things for remote that you're looking at or you may hear about, then if there's not a lot in the DFW area, then I would expand out to other areas and see if remote's acceptable to those companies.
And also, if you're local, you might have an advantage because you can get a face-to-face safely. So that's really up to the company and you.
Yep. Okay, so we've gone through the Reference USA and how to use it a little bit. How about we do a live example now? So I'm going to stop my share here and open up Reference Solutions now.
I know I have a hard time remembering to change the name.
Okay. All right, can you see this?
Yes.
All right, good deal. When you open up Reference Solutions, the first thing that comes up is this screen, and you'll notice that we're coming in through the Plano Public Library. I'm guessing that the same is true with North Richland Hills or whatever your library is, that they've posted their logo somewhere on that site. The things that we focus on or that we're the databases that are listed out here. The one we focused on was the U.S. businesses because it's got the largest number of businesses in it, Data Axle has sliced it down into multiple different databases. So if you're looking at Canadian businesses or want to learn more about Canadian businesses that may be doing business in the United States, or that perhaps you want to go up to Canada, you can click on this and learn more about Canadian businesses. New businesses in the US are listed here. People that are in healthcare, you may want to look at that. But essentially, the US versions are businesses that are from this big, large database here. The other thing that you may want to take a look at, and we haven't done a lot of looking in this area, but this is a new tab that they've just posted. And that's US jobs and internships. You may want to take a look at that and dig into that and see what's available there. There may be opportunities that are listed there or information there that can assist you. But
Now, since you brought that up, that's a listing from Indeed. That really pulls from Indeed. So that's what that is.
okay. All right, so let's open the US businesses and take a look. And we found a diamond in the rough when we were getting ready for one of our classes, and
So, and how we came up with this is that I was trying to come up with some scenarios, generic scenarios, because we used to call them agnostic, but I'm an accountant. I'm an accountant and I've been doing accounting or account management in construction for 20 years. How do I find a job how do I find companies that might use my skills? And that's how we came up with this search. And we used a keyword search to get there.
and as it is, it's moving slow today. Oh man.
I know I had some, I would click and it wouldn't move, and I'd click again and it stepped up to ahead, so I had to be careful.
If you want, try clicking on the X and then hit reload again and see if it goes quicker. Click on the X next to the little lock in the title bar. Is your computer locked up?
Yeah, it looks like it. Okay. Nope.
Here we go.
Here we go. Come on.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, exactly. Don't you love it?
Oh, look, it's still referenceusa.com website. They haven't changed that yet. And I see some questions. Once you have your library card, you can access this from home. So you can access it early in the morning, late at night, whenever you want to do your work, you can access it. So it's online if it comes up. Mike, did we lose you? You know, modern technology is sold at the peak of inflated expectations, according to the Gartner hype cycle.
Kipp, I think we did lose Mike. I don't see him on the participants right now.
Okay.
Tell you what, Kipp, I've got myself logged in to my copy through the Dallas Public Library, so let me share my screen.
Okay.
Then let's see.
I don't have a very strong Wi-Fi signal, and that's why I'm not doing very much of it.
Yeah, let me share. Hold on here. Here we go. So you'll just have to sort of tell me what you want to do. So
I can do that.
here we
There
go.
we go. So if you'll hit advanced search,
Okay.
and keyword SIC code down under business type,
Business type.
down a little bit, a little too far. There you go, keyword.
Okay.
And up is going to pop this. And put in, trying to do this from memory, because if I open up another screen, it'll slow me down.
That's fine.
Put in accounting. And I may take a try or two.
Okay.
And hit search. Let me look up my notes. 1 second. Give me 1 second, and I'll go find it.
Well, I'll tell you what, do you want to just search for somebody? Do we want to just do let's just do a search for somebody.
Does anybody want to have a search while I'm looking this up?
Somebody put in a keyword that you like us to search for, and then we'll sort of dive down from there. Healthcare, all right. All right, so now David from healthcare, if you want to unmute your mic so you can sort of tell me what you're looking for. Tell me if you see any details here or something a little bit closer, what you'd like to look for.
The chat window popped up, so it's blocking part. But what I saw there, part of that was try healthcare management.
Healthcare management. All right. So let's see here. Update count.
I guess the geography or metro area would be the DFW area.
Okay, so right now we're down to 3,000. So we want to modify our city state. So what I need to revise search, I think.
Yeah, go back and then geography, hit metro area there.
Metro.
Okay.
And then I guess you type in.
Oh yeah, come down here, metro area, Texas.
Yeah.
And then Dallas.
Is there an option for Dallas Fort Worth in the metro options?
Yeah, it says right here, Dallas F.
Oh, okay, sorry, there we go.
So now we're down to 73 results. So, you know, we went from 15 million we're down to 73. So here are firms in the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, keep going.
When you're ready, I did find that diamond in the rough.
Okay, all right, we'll go back here and just look at that in a
Well,
second.
you can fix that.
No, this is good. This is a good start.
This is
Thanks.
good.
Yeah, you can go down into a rabbit hole if you want to, but that's okay.
Right. And you can
Looks like
download this, you could print this off. I mean, this gives you a great little list of where to go. There's 73 companies that you could maybe look for. Do you want to look at any one of them in particular?
No, go ahead and see what Kipp has planned now. That's fine. This gives me
Okay.
something good to reference for later. Thank you.
All right, new search. All right, keyword. Kipp, what do you want? Accounting?
Got the phone talking to Mike.
I was on the phone with Mike who crashed. Okay, so we're gonna do SIC code and put in general contractors, plural. You're as good at spelling as I am, or typing. Okay, and do that search.
Okay,
And we're gonna select 152, 103, just a general contractor.
okay.
And we're going to update count.
So we went from 15 million to 151,000.
Okay, now we're gonna do DFW,
So metro area. Group.
and it'll roll down. There we go. And then when I did this, you know, I said I was a general contractor for construction firms. How am I going to find something? So I did update count.
We're down to 2,649.
Okay, so now what I did is said, okay, let's find all the public firms.
Public. So public. Update count. We're down to 1.
There's one. Okay. And this is also a story of don't be discouraged if you come up with one. So let's go ahead and view the results of that one. You came up with Primoris Services Corp. And I must admit, we've asked, only one person has really ever heard of them. And so if we go and look at Primoris and click on that. Okay, so it's a verified record. They're downtown, some of it's downtown Dallas. At the time I was looking, they were looking for general contractors. Right now they're tax, you know, these are current jobs that are listed in Indeed. And if you roll down a little further, here's the SIC code 152103, and they do so. Let's take a look at this. They do mechanical contracting, financial advisory services, mergers and acquisitions, and so that's starting to tell me a little bit about the company, especially mergers and acquisitions. And so then we go down and look at this. It's a holding company, which means okay, that they have inorganic growth because they go buy companies. And then I saw, oh, they got 12 employees, but their corporate employees is 97,000. And then I look at their sales, it's it's gone up $3.5 billion. So it's a, so it's a large company, even though it says it's got 12 employees. So that's obviously that's a headquarters. But if I roll even further down, it's got a listing of all their executives and their titles. The CEO, all those are well documented. And if we roll down even a little further, you got company news, you got the stock, you got the 10K. If you look at the 10K, it will tell you that it is inorganic growth. They buy a lot of companies. And so if you roll down, but then if you get to sales volume, holy moly. Look at, it is in a growth mode. And so if you look at the number of employees, yeah, it took a little dip in 2018, but back up to, it is really growing. To me, this is a diamond in the rough. This is a company that's clearly not flatlined. It's growing as a general contractor or as in the accounting part of it. You may be part of the headquarters, which only has about 12 employees. So their finance is obviously here. It may be at one of their subsidiaries somewhere else, but it is a moving and shaking company. If I was a general contractor, this is a company that would be on my target list. I would do the research to figure out what this company's doing, where it's going, what is it buying, what's its biggest revenue stream, who's in charge, who's here locally, what companies are subsidiaries around here, because there's a couple of them around here. Of course, they're across the US, and I would pursue it. This is the type of growth curve that you want to say, this might, now is the culture right? Do I want to go work for them? Those are all things you got to figure out. But this is certainly a company that I would put on my list.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, this is, like you said, this is a jewel.
Okay, and if you stop there, years in the database, they've been in the database for 14 years. So there's some good data on this. If they've been in the database for 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, so they have 66 locations. So, and they were established in 1960. And you could see the last time it was updated is in there someplace. So you could see the last updated on August 2020. So they're actively calling these guys and having, updating their information. Because when I first found them, they were just 3 billion. So they've gone up in the last year or two, another 500 million. So they are, even in this time, they're growing. You're not always going to find these diamonds in the rough. It takes a little bit of work. That's why we show this as an example. Don't give up if it just says one. Allocate some time to bounce around while you're doing your searches. And then, what you can do is you can save this one profile and move on to the next and come back to all the profiles you've saved, because it'll allow you to download one. You can download 250 companies at a time. But as I'm searching for target companies, I download this and go back to it to find more. And so that's my example. That's our one example.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to open up to Q&A. If anybody's got any questions, or do you want to do another search? I don't know how we're doing on time.
Kipp, I've got a
We've got
quick
about
question.
5 minutes. We have 4 or 5 minutes. If anybody has questions, go ahead and, you're welcome to ask. This is through the Dallas Public Library. So just be aware that you can, Dallas has it. We know Plano has it. We know other people are associated with Plano. And I'll show you just, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had a quick question. Kipp, you mentioned that when you downloaded, you had to set up an account. Was that through Reference Solutions that you had to set the account?
I believe so. To save a search, you have to have an account. Otherwise, you have to manually enter the search every time. You can download without an account. So, yeah, so Jeff, if you'll hit the download, it'll bring up this download, and that way you can download this one company as your your to-do list. So you can download the summary and do it in whatever one you want, and just hit download, and you go download the records. And Jeff, okay, you're going to have a download. But You can download it and it'll download it. So only if you want to save your searches.
Okay. But when you want, say, a save an account, that didn't require you to pay any money for that? It was all
No.
through being on
No.
the library? Okay.
Now, if you do a search that has 3,000 records in it, it won't let you do it. I think for free, it only gives you 250 at a time. And I've done it, and for me to get a list, I'll do 1 to 4 employees will be 200 and some odd. And then I'll do, and then I slap them together in Excel. Of course, I'm pretty good at Excel, so it's nothing for me to do, but if you may be technically challenged.
So here's what the download looks like. And I went ahead and asked for all the details. So
Holy moly.
Go across here. This is every field, names. I mean, you know, it's N, the last field was NO. I mean, that's 26 to the 10th power or whatever. I mean, that is a ton of fields with all the detail in it.
Yeah, and so that's you know, me, I can go through and get rid of the blank, you know, I transpose it, get rid of the blank fields, pull in the fields I want, and then I could do my analytics from there.
Right.
No, and that diamond in the rough, I really tried to see how through analytics I can identify them. They don't give you enough information in the detail for a history of growth so that you can figure out trend lines for the data that you have. So I kind of gave up trying to find those diamonds in a rough through analytics.
Right. Well, Kipp, thank you very much. Mike, I know Mike's not with us, but we'll thank Mike. We'll be sure to send him thanks. You know, get your library card. And beside the other thing you can also get, I know through the Dallas Public Library, for those people who don't pay for LinkedIn Premium and you don't get LinkedIn Learning, I know through the Dallas Public Library, I can get lynda.com. So lynda.com is LinkedIn Learning. So all those free classes, all that free training, check your references. There's a lot of great resources you can get. So get your public library card. You know, I got mine during COVID, and you know, they just sent me an email and they said, "Here's your ID number." I can't pick up a card, but at least I can. You know, I've got my number to be able to do that with. So, you know, just want to you know, point that out. All right, so let's see here. So next Friday, we're going to have a short presentation on canva.com, and we'll be doing open forum after that. So hopefully everybody has entered their information into the chat box, your name, phone number, email address, you know, position you're looking for, a couple of target companies. If you haven't, I'm going to leave the chat box up so you can do that right now. For those people on Facebook that are watching, if you haven't put your information in, you'll give you an opportunity to go do that, and then I will delete your personal information off of Facebook as soon as I copy it down when this meeting's over. Upcoming training, as we've talked about, next Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentation is going to be with Terry Sullivan. Tuesday afternoon, the Frisco Career Transition Workshop will be doing session number 3, using the internet for job search. On Wednesday, Interviewing Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, we'll be on session number 9, asking questions. And then Thursday, we'll be doing the Effective Resume Workshop, and you're welcome to submit your resume. You're welcome to, you know, delete your name and phone number and your personal information, since it will be on Facebook and YouTube. All these sessions, this session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page, and I will be uploading it to the Career USA YouTube channel this afternoon. All of the past sessions are there. If you're on Facebook, if you subscribe, if you follow us on Facebook, every time we go live, your phone will get a little buzz and you'll find out about it. And if you subscribe to us on the YouTube channel, every time we upload a new video, you'll be able to find out information about that. If you go to YouTube, this is what it happens to look like. You go to the Career USA YouTube channel. If you click on the green arrow, it says playlist. You'll see the 5 or 6 playlists that I've already created. Pick the one that, whatever topic you're looking for. If you want the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group speakers, you can click on that one, view full playlist, and you'll be able to find all the presentations that we've had up there since March when we started doing this. So thank you very much for joining us today. Kipp, thank you. I got a text message from Mike saying that the computer crashed twice. Thanks to Mike, thanks to Kipp, thanks to everybody else. Have a great weekend. Thanks for joining us. And hopefully we'll see you next week. Enjoy the nice weather this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Everybody go back up your computer.
Thank you.